All right. Good morning, traders. Welcome to Price Plan Profit. It's Melissa, and today is Thursday, September 11th. Of course, a important day in U.S. history. Prayers go out to all of those who lost loved ones or friends in the tragic 9/11 events. But it is a fine Thursday this week, and we are here to trade the markets and what the markets give us. So, in this live session, I want to show you my exact process for coming up with the three names that I'm going to focus on for day trading. Now, this is a process I've been doing for over 3 years, and I have refined it over the years to really a routine that I practice every single day. And the first step to my pre market planning is to know what trend the overall market is in. So I want to start with the ES futures, the S&P 500 futures. I use the futures because they are trading 23 hours a day. It's a more complete picture as to what's going on. Then I like to start with a weekly chart. The reason why is because as day traders, we can often get set in a routine of just staring at 1 minute to 5 minute charts and not really paying attention to the bigger picture. So every single day, I start out by looking at the ES weekly chart just to give me an idea what's going on those bigger time frames. And we are making higher highs and higher lows. That is a bullish trend. Okay. So the ES on the weekly chart is in a bullish trend. Then I'm going to go to a daily chart and do the same thing. Over the last couple of weeks, I want to know, are we trending bullish on the daily chart? The answer to the question is yes, we are trading bullish on the daily chart. So I know that we're trading to the upside both from a weekly chart and a daily chart. Looking at these candles, I can see with this being the current candle or today's candle, it is up at over yesterday's close. We are now 1, 2, 3, possibly 4 days up. The market likes to run in cycles, 2 to 3 days up, a day or two of consolidation, and then a continuation move or a reversal move. So, 4 days up leads me to be a little cautious on my bullish plays to the upside, not saying that I won't take bullish plays to the upside because, of course, the trend is my friend and that is the direction the market is currently heading. But I just need to be cautious with my profit targets. All right. And then I want to go to a 4 hour chart. The reason why I look at all of these different charts is because on the lower time frames, when you're in a bullish trend on the higher time frames, going down to these lower time frames can give you a sneak peek on a possible reversal. But so far, so good on all time frames. Look how on the 4 hour chart, price is following this EMA cloud to the upside. The trajectory of the cloud is about a 45-degree angle here. So we got a nice strong trend to the upside on this EMA cloud, and we're creating a rounding bottom here on the 4-hour chart, which is a chart pattern that I like when I am bullish in my portfolio. So, on all of those higher time frame charts, the answer to my first question, is the market bullish or bearish, is the market is bullish. So, with that information at hand, I then want to know what type of planned economic data is coming out today. Unlike some traders, I will carry positions over even if there is big data coming out. I will take trades before that data is released, all of that. Why I pay attention to what planned economic data is coming out is because during planned economic data, you can get volatility in the market. And as an options day trader, volatility is my friend. The volatility makes price move quickly. And that is good for options as long as you're on the right side of the trade. So, looking at what we have in store today, September 11th, you can see CPI data is coming out 30 minutes before the market opens. Unemployment claims are also coming out at that time. Then later on in the day, as the market is in full swing, we have natural gas storage coming out at 10:30 Eastern Time, the 30-year bond auction coming out at 1:01, and the federal budget balance at 2 o'clock. The big data is these red folders here, which is before the market opens. That's CPI data and unemployment claims. So now I know, number one, we're in a bullish trend. Number two, we have some important data coming out before the market opens and some other economic data coming out during the day. All right. So, after I have established what the trend is for today and what economic data is planned for the day, the next thing I want to do is to identify the leading and lagging sectors. So, if the market is bullish, I am looking for those sectors in the market that are above, they are leading, meaning they are more positive than the overall market. So I have a watch list built of the sectors that I pay attention to, all of your main sectors in the market. And I also have ES and NASDAQ and Bitcoin futures on this chart or on this watch list. So, if the overall market is up about 0.21%, then I'm scanning down this list looking for the areas of the market that are up at least equal to or slightly above the ES. You can see here that semiconductors, right? The SPY, of course, is going to be about equal to the ES futures, but semiconductors are up nicely today. XLK, the technology sector, is leading the market, and XLY, consumer discretionary, is leading the market. So, those are my leaders above, they are trading above where the overall market is trading. So, my focus for bullish trades, because I want to have the momentum, have the positive sentiment on my side if I'm looking to trade these names for further upside, I'm going to focus on that technology names, consumer discretionary names, and possibly semiconductor name. Now, what is lagging the market? I need to know that as well. So they're showing relative weakness today. That's gold miners and gold, which look, gold is in a absolute super bullish trend, making new all-time highs left and right. It's very, very, very bullish, but today we are seeing a little bit of a pullback. That's important to me because on the higher time frame charts, gold would be a name I would be looking to buy the dip. So if we can get further weakness today, this information tells me pay attention after the first hour of the market to see if gold is coming down into some higher time frame buy zones. So I want to note that on my scratch pad of notes for today. What else is lagging behind the market? The bonds, TLT. Oil, USO. Now, oil's been absolutely wrecked this year. It is down, way down. So I'm not surprised to see oil red here this morning. But the leaders are XLK, the technology sector, SMH, the semiconductor sector, and XLY, the consumer discretionary sector, and laggers are gold and oil. All right. Everything else is just pretty much flat on the day. So now that I know where my leaders are, I want to go to my watch list that I have a variety of names on representing each of those sectors and names that are liquid. Number one, liquid, meaning they have tight bid ask spreads, lots of volume. They're traded lots and lots over, at least over 2 million shares traded a day. That tells me that I'm not going to get a ton of slippage or um, bad fills, or I'm not going to have any issues of getting in and out of trades if I'm trading names that are liquid. So this list includes liquid names. It also includes names that are affordable for my account. Let's look at Apple and I'll explain. I have an allocation per trade of at least or of a maximum of $1,000 at risk on any one trade. If I'm looking at Apple right now, it's trading at 227. So if I look at the at the money calls here on Apple for next Friday's expiration, it's Thursday, so I'm choosing next Friday's expiration. The reason why is because of theta decay on options. When you get really close to expiration, that theta decay can really affect the premium of the option. And so I like to go out to the following Friday's expiration. So the at the money calls right now are trading for about 325 a contract. I want this number to be around $5 or less. So the names on this chart for the most part, most of the time, are going to fit that threshold of $5 or less, the at the money calls or at the money puts. Okay. So that's how I build this overall watch list. Now I need to go back and think about the names that are leading the market, which is XLK, SMH, and XLY. If you haven't been trading for a long time and you don't know what trades within each one of those sectors to pick your bullish stocks, I recommend you go to the website etfdb.com. If you go to this website, you click the magnifying glass up here and say you don't know what trades in XLK. You can type that in, go to holdings, and it's going to pull up the most heavily weighted names within the XLK sector. This is going to give me a list of names that I would look to trade today, day trade today, that trade within the XLK sector. Okay, that's how you can know what names trade within each sector. Same with SMH. If you don't know what names trade there, and I use a flex grid and put these top holdings on a flex grid for each sector, just so I have a quick way of looking at them. I don't have to go to etfdb.com to see what trades within this sector. So the three sectors that I am focusing on today, we'll look at all of their holdings, but I have a flex grid that I can quickly go to that tells me all of this information. All right. So consumer discretionary, those are names like Amazon, Tesla, Home Depot, McDonald's, Booking, TJ Maxx, etc. All right. So there's just a little cool way to know what's trading in each sector. Okay. So focusing on technology, semiconductors, and consumer discretionary, I want to build my focus list of three names. I would first off look at Apple. The reason why Apple is at the top of my list today is because of this 4-hour buy zone that Apple fell into yesterday. I put it on my watch list and was watching it yesterday for higher lows on a 1-hour chart, and I just didn't get an entry. That keeps me from buying a falling knife. So if we look at this 1-hour chart, this is when I started paying attention to Apple to see if we would start making higher lows, and we just didn't do it. We just kept making lower lows inside of this zone. So no trade on Apple yesterday, but today I want to watch it because it is in a 4-hour buy zone for me. It is very near my lower daily edge, which is a awesome indicator that Trendy John created over a decade ago. And at lower edges, I'm looking to go long. The trend of the market is to the upside. So anything by its lower daily edge as a day trader, right? I'm looking to go long from there inside of a higher time frame buy zone. That is just extra confirmation for me to watch this name today. Now, there's other names, of course, that trade in XLK. NVIDIA would be one of them. So let me clear this drawing set and just see how NVIDIA is stacking up if I were to choose NVIDIA. NVIDIA trades in SMH as well as XLK. It overlaps there. So, when looking for these names and wanting to trade them to the upside, I am less likely to add a name to my watch list or focus list if it's right at a resistance level. And you can see here, this orange lines on my chart are the daily edges for today, and NVIDIA is right at immediate resistance. That makes me not as excited to focus on NVIDIA today because I'm looking for an upside play that goes along with market trend. And I could see that NVIDIA is at immediate resistance here. You could see the inside and down candlestick pattern that occurred, looks like 2 weeks ago. We created a resistance zone or a sell zone right here. That would be a red zone on my day trading charts because that is an upside target. Well, when before the market opens and something is right at an upside target, I'm not necessarily wanting to focus on that name. So, although NVIDIA is doing great, it's right at resistance. And so it's not going to be on my focus list for today. All right. Next up, so out of XLK, I know that I want to watch Apple today. It is in a buy zone. It is at a lower daily edge. So 5 minutes before the bell rings, I'm going to get a values here where you see PMZ high and PMZ low. I'm going to know where my PMZ is at, and more than likely, it's going to set up inside of this buy zone. And once price moves above the PMZ, that is my trigger long. So I'm going to be buying at the money calls for September 19th. Then I need to know what my stop would be. And for Apple on a stop, I'm going to use, right, this pre market low. You see the bottoming wick right here? I'm going to go back and just look and make sure that during the after hours, which is this trading that went on here, I'm going to make sure this is the pre-market low, and it is. So I'm wrong on a bullish trade if Apple breaks down below 226.50 and closes below there. So I already know where I will go long, which is above that pre-market zone once it prints on my screen. And I already know what my stop would be. Then I need to know my targets. Well, any level to the upside, any line on this chart to the upside is a target. So my first target is going to be here. Then the weekly edge, the yellow line on the chart, the weekly edge is another area of resistance because any line to the upside is resistance till proven otherwise. So I have some trim targets or places that I want to trail my stop up as price hits there. And then the red box on my chart is my ultimate target to the upside. So that's my plan for Apple out of the technology sector today. Then SMH, the semiconductor sector, is up next. So I'm going to look at the names that trade within SMH looking for the same thing. Maybe I have a name that is near support or near a buy zone that I would want to focus on today. Looking at AMD on a 2-hour chart, it's kind of in the middle. It's in the middle of my buy zone, in the middle of my sell zone. Now, could I move this buy zone up? You know, I love to trade the inside candle, right? You have an inside and then a pretty strong move to the upside here on Amazon. So if I use this up candle or breakout candle as the top of that buy zone. And then I want to come down here and use the low from this initial candle formation. This would give me a buy zone on AMD down here. All right. Let me just make this go out to the right so that I can trade it all week potentially. Sorry, guys, my allergies are really bothering me. Okay, so now I have a buy zone that was created on Tuesday, and I want to measure fibs. I first want to measure from where this buy zone starts up to the high. Those Fibonacci levels, especially the bottom here of the golden pocket or the 618, I want that level on my chart. Then I'm going to use the imposter level as well. And price is already below these other Fibonacci's. So no need to mark those on the chart because I'm then going to draw secondary Fibonacci's from the high to the most recent low. And that's going to give me levels to trim at to the upside before the sell zone right there. Okay. So on AMD, I have trim targets to the downside as well as a buy zone. I have trim targets to the upside as well as a sell zone. This would be my target to the downside. This would be my target for today to the upside. Price is in between these two zones. So that means once the market opens and I know where that PMZ is at, I could trade AMD both to the upside and downside. Apple, I'm not looking to trade to the downside because it's in a buy zone. But AMD is in the middle of a buy zone and a sell zone. So I can trade this both to the upside and the downside. Below the PMZ, I'm buying puts, and above the PMZ, I'm buying calls, and then trading the plan according to where my trims are, moving my stops as price hits my levels, and then exiting the trade at my targets. Okay. The stop on AMD, if I were trading it to the downside, so say that price is below the PMZ, I can use this candlestick formation in here where we consolidated. Then we had this big breakdown candle. I can use this level right here that's also a trendy edge. All right, that would be a stop if I were going short below the PMC. As far as a stop, if I were going long above the PMC, I have this trim level right here, which is the 618. If you remember, whenever I was putting those Fibonacci levels on my chart, this was the 618, the golden Fibonacci level. That's a huge, important level, and so this is what I would use as my stop if I were to take a trade to the upside on AMD. So now the PMZ will give me my entry. I know my stop either to the upside or downside. I know what my stop is. I know what my targets are, and I know where I would scale out along the way. So now I have a plan for AMD. I can look at other names within this sector to see if any of the other ones are presenting a better trade setup than AMD. That's how I'm going to narrow down the semiconductor that I'm going to pay attention to. So with AVGO, I would create a downside target here or a buy zone here. All right. And these are green on my charts. So if AVGO or Broadcom gets below the PMZ, I got quite a ways to the downside target. That's because we created this nice big imbalance candle here. The lower daily edge, I want that line on my chart. The upper daily edge is resistance till proven otherwise. And then this high up here is another level I want on my chart. Where else would I be looking to take profits or potentially get into an AVGO trade? The name is very, very, very bullish. Okay. Anytime you're making new all time highs, that means the trend is bullish. So, the first area from a Fibonacci perspective that I like to trade is the bull channel between the 236 and the 382. The next is the golden pocket between the 50 and the 618. I would put these as gray zones on my chart, and this would be a buy zone down here, this golden pocket, if we were to get weakness on the open. This would also be a target to the downside if I was trading AVGO. Now, I'm also going to mark the 38.2 and the 23.6 because this is the bull channel. And for an aggressive long entry would be a zone that I would buy with confirmation. If you don't know what I mean by with confirmation, be sure and check out the YouTube video that I have explaining how I wait for confirmation in a zone before buying it, okay? Then the 887, I'm going to mark that, and that gives me a trade plan for AVGO. Now, we do not have targets or structure up and to the left on AVGO because of all-time highs here. So we could create Fibonacci extension targets, just measuring the range from that big imbalance candle to the all-time high, throw some extension targets on there, and that gives me targets to the upside in the event AVGO makes new all-time highs. So that's how I would create a trade plan for AVGO, but I still like AMD better to possibly trade to the upside or downside today. NVIDIA, we already looked at that. I'm not going to focus on that name because it's right at an area of resistance and the market's in a bullish trend. The easier trades is when we are at support and I'm looking for a strong sector, a name in a strong sector in a strong bullish market to buy, right? I would rather buy it in a support zone or a buy zone rather than buying it in a resistance area or a sell zone. So NVIDIA is not making the list. The other name in the semiconductors that I focus on my watch list is TSM. So take a look at that one. And really quick, right away, I can see that TSM is at a lower daily edge right here, right? And I've already told you lower daily trendy edges are an area of support or where I'm looking to buy a dip opportunity right there. As far as candle structure goes, I have a pause or an inside candle right here and then a breakout candle there. That would create a buy zone for me. I have another area, the same thing, a couple of pause candles and then an up candle below there. So this would create a buy zone using two different candle formations for TSM. All right. So TSM is right near an area of support, just like AMD is. It has room to move to the upside. This upper daily edge is resistance and it is slightly below that high right there. So I'm going to move that down. Above there, I would use the Fibonacci. Well, wait a minute. I don't want to say that because I believe we still have candle structure up and to the left if I put more time on this chart, but we don't. So, all right. That looks like it is a new all-time high on TSM. So then I would need extension targets. I'm just going to go from the bottom of my zone again to the Fibonacci extension tool, and that will give me extension targets to the upside in the event we take out this all-time high. Now, where else would I put trim targets? I'll measure this move from this all-time high down to the low Looking at that range, I know that I like the 5618 area both to buy a dip or sell a rip on a bearish name. So that would be a place that I would want to trim, right? I would want to trim a long position if I am long above the PMZ. So I'm going to go ahead and put a trim level there at the 50. You could put a trim level also at the 618 if you want, but I'm going to put it at the 50. I want to take my profits as the market gives them to me. And you could say it would be early because of the golden fib here, but I would rather get those profits in and get the break even stop in place so that I'm at least collecting some green from the market pretty quickly. All right. All right. So that's how I'm going to set my targets to the upside and the downside on TSM. So TSM or AMD, either one of these are buy the dip candidates in strong markets. TSM gives me both a sell zone and a buy zone and targets in between, or sorry, AMD does. TSM, as far as a sell zone goes, not really. So that means that this name itself in the semiconductors is stronger than AMD. So it's a gut type of situation here. Either TSM or AMD would be good candidates for me to choose to focus on today in the semiconductors. All right. And next up, the other sector I wanted to focus on is consumer discretionary. I told you I have a flex grid with these already mapped out what names trade within them. So let's look at XLY or consumer discretion. Take a look at the charts and the names that trade within here. Amazon, Tesla, those are the main ones that I'm going to trade out of this sector, especially for day trading. Both are very Amazon and Tesla both are above their key moving averages. Amazon looks like it pulled right back to the daily edge. Tesla has been up here camping out for a while. The EMA is down here. The EMA cloud is down here. It has some room that could potentially move down. But let's look at the smaller time frame. Hold on one second, guys. Apologies, my allergies are horrible this week. All right, let's look. Amazon here on my chart, it's up and it's definitely leading the market. It's up over twice what NQ or ES is at. So, big time leader there on Amazon. Let's look at Tesla also up very, very nicely. I choose TSLL to trade Tesla because Tesla tends to be a little expensive to trade. Looking at TSLL, here's my sell zone, buy zone down here. It has moved room to move to the upside or downside. That is an option. Let's look at Amazon's chart as well. I'm going to start fresh here on Amazon because this is not a recent chart. And here is our sell zone. I'm going to come down to that upper daily edge just to have that in my sell zone. We're going to come up here to that topping wick. That is creating me a target to the upside on Amazon. And a sell zone if you're looking to short Amazon as well. Then my buy zone is down here where we had this big imbalance candle, a pause, and then a continuation to the upside. Looking over to the right, you can see yesterday we wicked down into this area that gave us a buy the dip opportunity, obviously, with that bottoming wick there. So I'm going to use this area again. If Amazon comes down here, this would be a buy zone, but it's also a target for a downside play below the PMZ. Okay. Whoopsie daisy. There we go. All right. Now, areas in between. Look at this swing low to the most recent high. You draw fibs. Oh, nice. That's 618. There's your golden fib. Here's your 50. That is the golden pocket, or how we trade the golden pocket. Um, so that's a line that I want, or a target to the downside below the PMZ that I want on the chart. Then, of course, this monthly edge, the purple edges are monthly edges. I want that on my chart. These Fibonacci levels are not important for this range that I've measured because price is already below them. So now I'm going to remove these fibs, and then I'm going to do my secondary set of fibs because I need uh, Fibonacci levels to use for trims on the way back up. So my my first trim I could set right here at 232.26. You can see in the pre-market that is where we have a topping wick. So I'm going to go ahead and put that level on my chart. Then the 50 and the 618, and you have an upper weekly edge right in there as well. So I could split that zone in half, or I could use the 50 as a target to the upside, and then that upper weekly edge as my next target to the upside on the way to that sell zone, or the ultimate target to the upside. So, this is what my Amazon trade plan would look like for today. I'm going to go ahead and move this line down to my lower daily edge, have that in there. All right. Wherever the PMZ sets up on a 5-minute chart is going to give me my entry, either calls if price is above the PMZ, or puts if price is below the PMZ. I have target one to the upside and downside, and I need to move this up slightly. All right. I have targets to the upside or downside, as well as knowing where my entry's at. That's going to be based on the pre-market zone. Above it, I'm buying calls. Below it, I'm buying puts. And then my ultimate targets are set. So I'm ready to go with Amazon. All right. Now I have all three of my names picked out. I am going to focus on AMD, Apple, and Amazon. And ironically, they're the top three on my chart, and all start with A. So that's my focus list for today. And that is the process that I do every single day to give me a focus of three names to potentially day trade. Now, of course, SPX is something I don't want to say I day trade it 100% of the time, because there are days that I don't day trade SPX, but I definitely day trade this 99% of the time. And so I have an SPX chart always ready. These gray zones are the bull channel and the golden pocket, then my buy zone. And these levels up here are targets to the upside. Here's the these are extension targets to the upside. The all-time high, of course, is a target. Once the market opens, I will place some other levels on the chart. I like to draw fibs from where the previous day closed to where the market opens. And right now, ES is up about 14 points. So if I go up 14 points from where SPX closed, that's going to put me right about here. All right, this is approximate, and I will do this right at the market open because a lot can change, especially with economic data coming out. But once I have that range identified and I draw these fib levels here, I love to, in a choppy market, focus on this golden pocket and with confirmation buy a dip down here. And I also like to use it as a target to the downside. So I will be doing that on SPX once the market opens. And more than likely, trading SPX, day trading SPX. All right. All right. That is my pre market routine. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you found this valuable. I'm going to check the comments real quick. Claudia asked, where is your TSM low to start trading the fib on the 2 hour TSM? Take a look here. TSM low fib. Claudia, I measured the fibs from the bottom of the buy zone to the high, I believe. I don't think I drew a fib actually on TSM. As far as my extension target, that's the only fibs I drew. I went from the bottom of that buy zone to the all-time high to get my extension levels. All right? Yeah, Perennial Legacy asks, is there a process you use for day trading it specifically? Yeah, the PMZ process. And Perennial, I don't know if you're a member of the Trendy Room at Simpler Trading, where my trading partner John and I trade live every single day. But if you're not, we do have a 30-day trial for $7 that you can join us and learn that process for trading the PMZ because it is something that we do every single day. Oh, okay. So you mean SPX? Yeah, I use the same process, Perennial. The same process as what I do with any other PMZ traded name. Same process to trade SPX. All right. That is my time, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. If you haven't already, do me a favor, hit the like button. It takes you like 2 seconds to do that. It helps this information get out to other traders that may be struggling to build a watch list. And so I would really appreciate it if you could hit that like button. As always, I hope you have an awesome day trading and I look forward to seeing you next time.